Good afternoon, dear friends. Today, we will answer some questions that are frequently asked and debunk some myths about greenhouses that we often encounter. Let's talk about the double film or polycarbonate in the greenhouse giving an increase of 10 to 15 degrees Celsius inside the greenhouse. Frankly speaking, from a physics perspective, this is somewhat unclear because polycarbonate's purpose is merely to retain heat. It does not generate heat. Therefore, it cannot provide an increase of 10 to 15 degrees Celsius. What happens inside the greenhouse when we cover it, set it up, and start operating it, whether it's with a double film or thick polycarbonate, regardless of the thickness, is that the sun heats up the greenhouse, and it gets hot inside. When the sun sets, the temperature is immediately dropping, and any covering we use only reduces heat loss. The better the thermal insulation of the covering, the longer the accumulated heat inside the greenhouse is retained. Hence, it cannot be claimed that covering provides a plus of 15 degrees Celsius to the greenhouse temperature. For sure, it doesn't work that way. For instance, in a greenhouse without heating, when the outside temperature drops to 0 degrees Celsius, the temperature inside the greenhouse gradually decreases to 0 degrees Celsius as well. The longer the nights, the less heat the air retains, but the heat accumulated in the soil and objects lasts longer. The insulation factor matters. The better the insulation, the slower the heat loss. Therefore, it cannot be claimed that using a double or triple layer provides an increase of 10 to 15 degrees Celsius inside the greenhouse. It's akin to saying a certain book adds 10% to one's intelligence. These are two different things. The purpose of the covering is to retain heat, and depending on the insulation properties of the covering, it simply helps retain heat better. To achieve a temperature increase of 10 to 15 degrees Celsius inside the greenhouse, heating must be installed. Another question we are often asked is about how greenhouses handle temperature fluctuations. Let's delve into these greenhouse parameters a bit today. The greenhouse's task is to reduce temperature fluctuations that occur between day and night, which is crucial, especially when we have near zero temperatures in spring and autumn in an open field. The first factor to consider is maximizing insulation during the night, and the second one is effective ventilation or heat accumulation during the day. One interesting technique to level out these temperature fluctuations involves heat and cold accumulation. We've discussed this topic extensively before. Another simple and effective method is to use a large number of containers, for example, 10-liter containers filled with water. You can paint them black to enhance heat absorption and place them around the perimeter or in the center of the greenhouse. Water has high heat capacity, making it one of the most heat-absorbing liquids available to us on Earth. Thanks to the presence of a significant number of oceans, the Earth experiences a significant smoothing of temperature balances, avoiding drastic fluctuations. Similarly, by using water, such as placing a large number of containers inside the greenhouse, you can regulate temperature fluctuations. During the daytime, these containers absorb excessive heat, and during the nighttime, they release the accumulated warmth. Depending on the amount of water used, this method can result in a temperature increase of a few degrees at night and a decrease during the daytime. This approach effectively cools the greenhouse during the day and slightly warms it during the night. Another interesting technique involves black tubes placed along the perimeter or on trays, filled with water and wrapped tightly. These tubes absorb heat during the day and release it at night, providing an efficient way to regulate temperatures. What else can decrease temperature fluctuations? Creating microclimates within the greenhouse can further mitigate temperature fluctuations. For example, using smaller greenhouses within the main greenhouse and opening them during the day to maximize sunlight exposure, then closing them at night to create a stable microclimate. So, when it is about 0 degrees outside, it will be 3-5 degrees in the greenhouse and 10-15 degrees in the small greenhouses. This method can result in significantly higher temperatures under the smaller greenhouses, creating a thermos-like effect. For small greenhouses, this method will also work, whether the greenhouse is 3 by 6, 4 by 6, 4 by 8, or 5 by 10 meters. Another method we have encountered to mitigate temperature fluctuations during the day and at night is the use of a second layer of film, or spun bond, also known as agritextile, placed on the top of the greenhouse structure with the help of strings. It can be removed during the day and put back at night manually. This method significantly improves thermal insulation at night, and when we open the greenhouse during the day, it maximizes heating. When we speak of summer, we will discuss this method separately. In summer, ventilation is crucial, and shading is essential to protect our plants from excessive heat. There's a need to control the temperature because there can be an excess of heat. By the way, we were asked whether the yield depends on the color of the film or polycarbonate of the greenhouse. Let's look at more advanced agricultural technologies, which are several steps ahead of what we commonly use. Frankly speaking, I haven't come across any cases where colored film or polycarbonate is used to filter or enhance specific light spectrums. There are generally two types of coverings, transparent and translucent. Transparent coverings allow maximum heat and light get into the greenhouse. All plants use specific spectrum of sunlight for photosynthesis, so there's no need to filter or add anything. Translucent coverings, on the other hand, scatter sunlight more evenly, preventing hot spots and providing more uniform growth conditions for plants. So, it's not about colors, but rather about transparency and translucency properties of the materials used for covering the greenhouse. They say covering the greenhouse with green film increases yields because the green color is not absorbed by the greenhouse, it is reflected. On one hand, we reduce the amount of heat getting inside because we have eliminated green spectrum. However, on the other hand, plants still need green spectrum. Even though plants appear green, they absorb green spectrum, and it is essential not to completely eliminate it. Therefore, there are two types of coverings, transparent and translucent, which are currently used. The translucent covering is used to prevent overheating in summer. In hot countries, these translucent films are used to reflect more light during hot seasons. As for the colored and transparent films, which we encounter, the color is added mainly for us to visually differentiate the film based on quality, thickness, and lifespan. The color does not inherently affect the plants. The thing to note is that different manufacturers use different spectrums for various thicknesses, widths, and lifespans. Thus, it's essential to consider the manufacturer's specifications when choosing the right covering for your greenhouse. Usually, greenhouse coverings come in green, yellow, pink, and blue colors. These colors represent the primary spectrum used, and in essence, these colors do not affect crop yields. We are often asked if it makes sense to use double or triple layers of film, meaning 2 layers of polycarbonate, to better retain heat in the greenhouse. In this case, we need to consider the following. The more layers of covering we have, the less light penetrates the greenhouse. With a double-layered film, it's justified because we lose about 4–5% of the light flux that gets into the greenhouse but retain 40–50% of heat. This heat is preserved due to the buffer formed when the film is inflated. Therefore, the efficiency of a triple-layered covering decreases. For instance, with a triple-layered film, we might lose an additional 6–7% of light, but we reduce heat loss by about 10%. For us, light is more critical than heat in terms of cost. Otherwise, all greenhouses would be underground bunkers, where heat loss could be minimized almost to zero, yet maximum lighting would be required. People in Siberia often ask what kind of greenhouse would work in extremely cold temperatures, around 45 degrees Celsius. In such conditions, maximizing heat insulation becomes crucial, and sacrificing light transparency is a viable trade-off because enormous heat losses occur. If the outside temperature is 40 degrees Celsius, inside the greenhouse it can be maintained at plus 25 degrees Celsius. If the temperature doesn't drop below 25 degrees Celsius in winter, it's essential to increase light transparency because light becomes more critical. In areas with temperatures around 0 to 5 degrees Celsius, or an average of 10 degrees Celsius in winter, maximizing light transparency is crucial. More light in the greenhouse means earlier harvest. The amount of light significantly influences the start of harvest. Since additional lighting is still an expensive solution, especially for small-scale farmers, the cost of the lighting systems can be almost the same as the cost of the greenhouse itself. Moreover, despite the rapid development of LED technology, reducing costs and increasing light output, it might take a few more years before cost-effective LEDs are available for winter cultivation. In most cases, cultivating plants like tomatoes and cucumbers in winter is a challenge. Southern countries can import November harvests for the new year, making locally grown products in December significantly more expensive as compared to imports from countries like Turkey. Logistics also play a crucial role as compared to southern countries. Additionally, there is a high demand for phytolamps, as they are purchased in large quantities for growing prohibited plants indoors. These are the key points I wanted to share about greenhouses, the type of covering and its impact on the greenhouse's thermal balance, and how to mitigate temperature fluctuations. Feel free to share your comments and advice on how you smooth out temperature fluctuations in your greenhouses. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. For those interested in greenhouses and related equipment, visit our website at teplitca.kiev.ua where you can find a wealth of interesting and valuable information. See you next time.